but not invincible. Despite the losses, Eric the Red's new colony thrived. Soon after the Vikings arrived in Greenland, one of Eric's offspring would continue in his father's tradition. His name was Leif Erikson, and like his father, he would discover new lands, this time across the oceans in America. A 1,000 years ago, a small band of Vikings set sail from an isolated colony at the edge of the known world, in Greenland. Conditions were harsh on this island continent of ice and snow, and the settlers were eager to improve their lives. At the helm was Leif Erikson, the son of a Viking chieftain. Heading westward into the unknown, he was searching for a new land and new hope for his people. The Icelandic sagas describe the voyage of Leif the Lucky.
Leif, the son of Eric the Red, bought a ship and engaged a crew of 35. After sailing many days, 2 in a northeast wind, they sighted new land and went ashore on an island north of it. The weather was fine. There was dew on the grass, and the first thing they did was to get some of it on their hands and put it to their lips, and to them it seemed the sweetest thing they had ever tasted.
Leif Erikson called this place Vinland, or Wineland, because wild grapes grew there. Where was this new land covered in sweet dew? For years, scholars argued about the location of Vinland. Was it really true that the Vikings had landed in America 500 years before Columbus?
Well, the sagas that are called often the Vinland sagas about the discovery of Greenland and America, they were written in the 13th century, so we expect them to be accurate up to a point about the actual big events, the fact that Greenland got discovered, and then on Vinland or America, that we would expect as being fact. But how it all happened and who were on the ships, that's of course more difficult for us to check.
For about 150 years, people have been searching much of North America, at least the eastern parts of it, for anything indicating that the Norse were here, because we knew about it already from the Icelandic sagas, that they would have been somewhere in northeastern North America.
With no hard archaeological evidence, rumors and theories placed them up and down the East Coast, anywhere from Canada to Florida. In the 1950s, a Norwegian explorer named Helge Ingstad became obsessed with the Vinland mystery. Ingstad decided to retrace Leif Erikson's journey. He would follow clues in the sagas and his own sailor's intuition.
It was a completely unknown ocean. They have the current with them all the time along the coast of Greenland, and when they had crossed the Davis Strait, they had a current with them pushing them south to Baffinland, Labrador, and Newfoundland.
The ancient saga told of a Wonderstrand, a beach so long it took Leif's crew more than a day to sail past it. Ingstad found a beach that fit the description, near Cape Porcupine in Labrador, 200 feet wide and more than 40 miles long. According to the saga, Vinland was 2 days' journey beyond the Wonderstrand. Following the trail, the explorer sailed exactly 2 days to the south, landing on the northern tip of Newfoundland. Ingstad was convinced that the shores of Newfoundland would have felt like home to the Vikings.
Norse people would settle in a land where the old pattern of culture fitted. I mean, in Newfoundland they would find what they were used to, hunting seals, hunting caribou, and all that stuff.
Ingstad traveled up and down the Newfoundland coast, searching for some sign of a Viking presence. Finally, in 1960, a fisherman from the tiny village of Lanceau Meadows led him to the ruins of what may have been houses outside of town.
Didn't know, of course, who had built these houses. It might have been Indians, it might have been Eskimos, it might have been fishermen, it might have been whalers, and at last it might have been Norsemen. But only excavation could tell the story. But personally, I had a strong feeling that this was a place that the Norse people would like to build their houses. On this terrace with a view all over the sea, you could see clear over to Labrador, and with the green meadows around their houses.
Ingstad's wife, archaeologist Anna Stina, led the excavations to uncover the true identity of the ruins. Slowly, the foundations of turf-walled houses came to light, along with ancient fireplaces. They looked like Viking buildings, but the design alone wasn't proof. They needed some artifacts that were indisputably Viking. Finally, they found what they were looking for. A ship rivet made of iron, a bronze cloak pin, and a spindle whorl, exactly like those found in Iceland. The objects were clearly Viking in origin, not Native American. Today, the settlement at Lanceau Meadows has been reconstructed with solid sod houses, just like the homes in Greenland and Iceland. Although Ingstad felt the location, right next to the sea, was a natural for a Norse site, archaeologists like Birgitta Wallace realized this wasn't a typical Viking farm.
One reason we know why it's a base camp and not a normal Norse farm is its location. This is an absolutely abnormal location for a Norse site, right on the coast, completely exposed to the sea winds. In Greenland, all the sites, and even in Iceland, are located at the heads of fjords where it's nice and protected. And it's unique too because all the buildings on the site are a very typical Icelandic or early Greenlandic style, but the way they are combined is totally different. And from that we know it was not a permanent farm, not an attempt to establish a colony here.
The arrangements of the buildings, along with the artifacts the Vikings left behind, suggest that the site served as a base, inhabited mostly by men, who would frequently sail off to explore the surrounding coastline.
A few women were brought along as well to take care of cooking, clothes maintenance, and that sort of thing, cleaning, washing. There certainly was some evidence of women here, but much less of an evidence of men. For instance, a spindle whorl for spinning, and a little needle sharpener that we only find in female context back in Scandinavia.
Lanceau Meadows is indisputably Viking. But is it the Vinland of the sagas? The ancient text explicitly details the discovery of wild grapes by Leif Erikson's crew.
Finding out grapes would be very interesting to the Norse because items like walnuts, wine, that were really exotic foods and destined for chieftains who then could impress his surroundings with that, and that was one way chieftains gained prestige and authority. to have large banquets and to be able to serve wine would have been much more impressive than we can ever imagine today.